Welcome everyone to another episode of the Big Brothers of Destruction podcast. Guys, it's your excuse me, I almost did it. It's the Masaku.
It's your boy, Swag Switch in the building here.
And boy, do we have a crazy week of wrestling to talk about. But before we kind of get into all that, I just want to give you guys the idea of the topic today. Episode is cashing out and selling. See, Swag Switcher after the last episode wanted to kind of bring up a topic of selling and wrestling and how selling is not as important as it used to be anymore and the frustrations behind it, but also since it kind of feeds onto the cashing or the money in the bank stipulation, that was also a part of it as well. So it's kind of that nice little balance. You got cashing out, you got selling. So as we kind of look into the crazy wild week of wrestling, let's kind of get into it real quick. Let's talk about Money in the Bank. Okay, Money in the Bank, man. Swag, what were your thoughts about it? Give it to me. Pause.
So what? Okay. So real quick, because I do want to get into the Money in the Bank, because Money in the Bank, for all intents and purposes, is the main thing that all the shows have been leading up to, not including not including NXT. However, NXT was its own can of worms, and TNA as well. Like, I messed up and I did not watch their pay-per-view, so I can't give you the deets on that. So I have no idea what has happened with the pay-per-view yet, because Elijah / Elias was supposed to be fighting Swerve for the title. And because I guess I'm the only person that watches TNA, literally no one has informed me, and I also have not been looking at the social medias to see who has won that. So literally after this podcast, I'm probably going to actually watch that pay-per-view, because I think that pay-per-view was probably better than what Money in the Bank was. No, it was Friday.
I thought it was the last week. I remember there was a pay-per-view that happened not too long ago, but before the one that happened on Friday. But wow, you so also say it was.
Listen, TNA and NXT this week took the cake for me as far as keeping me interested in anything that's been going on in wrestling. Because all I'm going to say about AEW is that they dropped the ball this week and it was boring as fuck. AEW was boring as.
I mean, it was 4 hours long. Yeah.
No, bro, listen. 4 hours long. There is so many things they could have done in 4 hours to progress. You realize their WrestleMania is next month.
Oh no, we totally know. I totally get it. I'm not saying anything.
WrestleMania is next month. And what they do, their first 4-hour special, have a bunch of good, but meaningless matches. Tony Storm trying to kiss old girl in the ring. Mercedes out there eating this dry ass steak that she actually never took a bite of. Like, it was 4 hours that I'm not going to get back. Wasted time. Luckily for me, while that 4 hours was happening, on like the last 2.5 hours, I started streaming.
I did notice you were streaming for the last like two recent streams and stuff.
Yeah, I'm trying to get back into the streaming thing again. I miss doing it and I really like it. So for those who are watching, go to Twitch. Swag Switcher is the name, and I be playing different games. Currently, I'm playing the game Kenshi. Little plug there. But it's like, so like, that's all I'm not even going to dwell on AEW. They didn't earn it this week. So with this, to start at the top, R-Truth. Okay. The world this week, when I have never seen and I don't think anyone has ever seen such an outcry for a wrestler than they have for R-Truth this week. You would have thought the man died.
Literally, though. Literally. It was
You
like,
would have thought R-Truth passed away. Like, I scroll on Instagram and like, will you remember wings of an angel? Like, I'm like, what is happening? What are these OVOs right now for R-Truth?
it was real
Like,
bad. It's real bad.
listen, R-Truth being released, and there's a reason why I'm throwing the quotations on it. R-Truth being released this week. Actually, no, was it this week? It was literally last Sunday.
Yeah, last
Yeah,
Sunday.
it was
Yeah,
last
yeah.
Sunday. So it was like R-Truth being released last Sunday, right? It almost felt like when CM Punk got fired and released, where there's things happening in the middle of the women's match. We want R-Truth. Like there's
CM Punk.
yeah, literally CM Punk came out to the ring, was giving a promo, and he got R-Truth instead, which is crazy. Okay? Absolute bonkers. All right. And then fast forward to the pay-per-view, and probably one of the very, very few cool things about Money in the Bank. R-Truth coming out there and interfering, costing John Cena and them the match in a very spectacular way. And I'm hearing and I'm seeing buzz around the internet saying that like him coming back, he has changed his name from R-Truth
To Ron
Killings.
Yeah.
And so I'm just like, but like the only thing that did kind of take me out of it a little bit was at the press conference when someone asked that question about like, hey, so like, was this a work? And I'm just all like, come on, guys, just let it be. Like,
no, they will not.
I don't want to think about whether if it's a work or not, like, because it was actually a very pleasant surprise. And of course, Triple H, he was just like, did we entertain you?
Mm-hmm.
Did we are you along for the ride? Okay then. I'm just like, Trip, don't do that. Don't do that, bro. Like,
No,
like
he did that shit.
let me be that kid again. Just let me just see this for the face value of what it is.
Did we entertain?
But like, let me see it for the face value of what it is. However, looking at it from the face value, that was kind of crazy.
No, when it happened, I'm watching the show. I'm watching the show with my wife, and you know she's laying up on me. She's on her phone, not even paying any mind. You know, and so I remember I saw somebody in the audience come out and tackle Truth. So I was like, "Who the fuck is that?" And I was like, "No, there's no way it's him." And I literally popped. I'm like, "Yo, it's Truth." What the? So.
Well, by the way, I just want like your wife hearing and seeing her reactions to wrestling is so pure.
Yes.
It's so pure because unlike us, she has not been like muddied and like decleaned of the magic that is wrestling. Like we know how to put the goggles on and be all like, all right, let's watch this because this is all real. But at the back of our minds, we also know that it's a work. Where watching them see it and their reactions is like their reactions are like so pure, almost as if like they're watching it as it is real kind of thing. It's just like this is because one of the clips that you sent me, I don't know what was going on, but I could hear your wife in the background like popping over something that was happening in the match.
Yeah. We were talking about it was something that was going on during the pay-per-view. And yeah, she
Oh,
gets
it
a little
was
pop.
Lyra. It was the
Yeah, I
Lyra
was like,
match
oh, they're really
because
going in.
like they're really going in. I was all like, And so, since we brought that up now, talking about the pay-per-view here
Mm-hmm.
with the number one, I know how you feel about it, but I hate it. I I did not. I don't need Becky Lynch with the Intercontinental title.
I
I
can
don't.
understand. I understand where
I
you're coming
don't.
from. I understand it. My issue was it was like, okay, if they would have gave Becky maybe a couple of wins every once in a while, like the first one she lost, the second one maybe she won by technicality, like a false finish or something like that, and then the last one for the title was the one that solidified and ended. I would have been okay with Valkyrie winning, but I was like 3 wins straight, technically clean, but not really clean. Like it just really diminishes to me her character. And so I was just like,
How? Becky Lynch is at a level where she can't be diminished. Like she don't she don't need it. Like in
she doesn't
hindsight
need the belt.
2020,
No, you're right. She doesn't need the belt. I just felt like she at least needed the win.
like I I still beg to differ in the sense where I'm just like, especially with the fact of like us trying to build Lyra right now.
Mm-hmm.
Now, once again, when I put the Heinz, oh my little message thing. When I put the some of the when I put my promoter glasses on and take my heart out of it, it's like I guess it does business because now that she has the title, now Lyra has to chase her for it, and babyface chase for the belt, blah blah blah, all this other stuff. I'm like, okay, sure. But because I also know where this is probably going to go,
A rubber
because
match.
because Lyra, well, see, that's the thing, and this also goes into it. There is no need for a rubber match. You you're pretty familiar with fighting games,
Yeah.
uh, and when you're playing with like the normal settings kind of thing, not so much the tournament settings, but when you're playing normal settings, if you win 2 matches in a row, that's it. You're done. Hell, sometimes if you change the settings a little bit, you win 2 matches. Some because I know sometimes they have like you have to win 3 times or whatever, right?
Yeah.
But it's like she's won twice, so she's really already beaten Becky Lynch. Okay, like that their squabble is done. But now Becky Lynch has gotten this one up on her, but it doesn't make Becky Lynch better than her right now because Becky Lynch still lost twice as opposed to now getting this one. But I'm just like
She doesn't need it.
I don't need her with this belt. And it's not like they're not going to like I don't think Becky Lynch having the belt does anything for the title.
It
And it's
doesn't.
like and Becky Lynch, like as we're saying, Becky Lynch doesn't need it because it's like it'd be like if Roman Reigns came back and decided to become the United States champion. Like,
Yeah, like
why? Why?
that is completely
Why?
valid. That
Why?
is absolutely valid. Because when you put in that sense of like you've technically already have won multiple heavyweight championships, like you doing this doesn't make sense. Like it doesn't validate what you're trying to do.
But alas, that's actually kind of a funny pun because Becky Lynch used to be the last kicker. But but uh, but yeah, I'm just I'm just upset. I'm butthurt, I guess, because screw Becky. I don't care. But
Screw Becky is crazy. That's
I said
crazy.
what I said.
I
It's
wouldn't say screw her. I mean, I again, I didn't feel like she needed the title, but I feel like what they're trying to do is still elevate Valkyria because they're already saying that she's going to get another match with her against her from the outcome of the match, and they're
which of
going
course.
to next pay-per-view go against her for the title again, and then Becky would lose, then giving Valkyria a new reign, and it's kind of like refreshing her with the belt. Somebody said.
Maybe, but there's a part of me that feels that what's going to end up happening, because what you said is what I wish would happen. What
Mm-hmm.
I think is going to happen is Becky Lynch is going to have this belt,
Mm-hmm.
and then Valkyria is going to fight, and she's going to lose again for the title. And when she
Mm-hmm.
loses again for the title, she's going to go to the back of the line, and then Becky Lynch is just gonna have the title, and she's going to do the thing that all the title holders are doing nowadays, because that's like the famous thing to do, which is, it's like once you become a champion, it's like you become a
A
part-timer or
champion.
something.
A champion, yeah. You become a champion, you don't show up every week with the title. That's
Yeah,
literally why they had to make two belts.
but even then, it's like everyone's a part-timer right now. Let me talking about this whole thing with the belts and everything. I just want you to take a look at Money in the Bank, okay?
Yeah.
And how to me, I feel Money in the Bank was trash, which is actually the reason why I have not actually actively watched it. So
So,
me and my roommate, who is also a wrestler, Ray Young, we had a conversation talking about Money in the Bank, and there were just pointing out some of the points about Money in the Bank. Notice how in Money in the Bank, number one, there were, aside from that Intercontinental title match, and I think that didn't they make another Intercontinental title match? Like
yeah, they made
they
both
just threw
Intercontinental titles.
they just
Yep.
like threw Dom in there at the last minute because they realized that Money in the Bank was only 4 matches.
Yeah, no,
Oh,
they threw that in there because of the connection to World. I see why they did it. It's so that way people have to go back and watch Worlds Collide and see what was the confrontation that made him say like, "Yo, I need to have this match," because some people didn't know about Worlds Collide. Some people don't care about Worlds Collide. Those are
mhm.
those pure, like if you notice when you watch Worlds Collide, a lot of everything was in Spanish, as it should have been. Like the ring announcer spoke only in Spanish and
Oh,
then
they
would
did.
translate, yeah, and then translate in English what they were saying. So when they would announce somebody who is an American, they'll say everything in Spanish, and then you will obviously identify. They say something like Canadian, American, etc. But they did everything in Spanish. Promos were cut in Spanish, except what's his faction, El Fantasma. Like they spoke
Yeah.
it in English, but they finished it in Spanish. So it's like they try to keep it as rooted to as much Mexican luchador as possible. And
I mean, because it
so
is also the promotion, so
yeah, yeah. So to have Dom on there, he was in the crowd, he had the situation Octagon, which confused me for a second because it's literally Pentagon's mask. It's literally. And and so I was like, does Pentagon Jr. have a son? Because I know he has a daughter who he's wrestled with before. And I'm like, is this a son? And no, this is Octagon. I said, okay. And I know there's obviously an Octagon. I remember seeing Octagon, Pentagon, and Hectagon Jr. They have a whole thing.
it- Penta, Octa, Hecta,
Yeah.
like wow.
Yeah, they have a whole thing. The whole reason why Penta even uses Zero Fear is because the curse of Pentagon. Um, which I don't know if you've seen that in the things they were trying to tell about his story or whatever, but there was literally a curse they would kind of say on the Pentagon character that I think the last one died, right? Or something bad really happened to him, and then he took the mantle of Junior, and they were like, "Oh, bad things are supposed to happen to this guy because he's a heel, he's evil, whatever." So he put up the zero fears because when he started going out into different territories, different lands, they were like, "Look, bad things are gonna happen to you." He says, "I don't give a fuck. I'm gonna do it with zero fear." And that's where the moniker Zero Fear came from. But that's besides the point. Going back into everything else, that's what I feel like they put that in there for Dom to go out there and do what he did, is so that way people can have eyes on World's End now and be like, yo,
If they didn't watch it now, if you
now
want
they
to
have a
figure out
reason.
why that happened, you go back to see it. Oh, okay. Which that's fair. But I mean, they also had that tie-in because of Stephanie Buck here.
Yeah, she had
Because she
three
was
matches
pulling,
that fucking weekend.
yeah, so she was pulling triple
Triple
duty,
time. Yeah.
which I think Penta actually was pulling double duty.
He pulled double too. Yeah.
And so
Not Phoenix. He only had one match.
yeah, and so it was like, but like when I look at Money in the Bank, like before I watched it, and the reasons why I didn't watch it is because I had a conversation once again with my roommate wrestler, and we was kind of sort of like giving our, as we call, our discount lariat when it comes to how this pay-per-view was going to work out. Now, I originally was all like, give the Money in the Bank to Stephanie, and then as soon as she gets it, she cashes that bitch in like ASAP type thing. But that couldn't happen because there was no women's title matches at
There
all.
was nothing. And then I even said that too, because excuse me, Paul Levesque, I quit calling Hunter all the time. Paul Levesque was even like, yo, I don't like having two briefcases going on right now. I don't like having, so he for the last couple of them, he always had somebody cash in one of them at the pay-per-view to only minimize the amount of storyline he has to build for both briefcases. So he was like, okay, cool, eliminate one, and we could just generally focus on the briefcase hunt for the next person, right? So you have no women's match. You're not gonna cash in on Cena. You're not doing that.
Yeah, there's that pit too. So it's like, even if we wanted to have someone cash in tonight, how? Because there was no women's match to possibly tease a cash in, and then it was like the main event match was so stacked and all this other stuff where it's a tag team with one tag team being the heavyweight champion, the other tag team being the WWE champion. And I was like, as soon as that match got called, I was like, I don't care about this match. And then to kind of branch off from that particular bit, not only did I not care about that match, but it's not like they did a good job of promoting it this week either.
Nope.
Freaking, what was it? The going back to when Cody Rhodes
Yep.
and Jey Uso, when they had that standoff between John Cena and Logan Paul,
I needed that too.
and how but it was squandered and spoiled because Jey Uso can't cut a promo. Like, I've lost all hope in his promo skills at this point.
4 letters, 1 word. Oh. I do like that shit. I ain't gonna lie, I do like that shit.
But which is dope. He has a dope ending, but he doesn't say anything to lead up into it to make it worthwhile.
Absolutely not.
He just goes out there, run it back so we can yeet some more to take up some more of the talking time. And then he goes out there and he's just like, I'm the champ. Y'all should, I'm tired of being talked down to.
It makes me wonder if Jimmy would have did better.
Yes, he would have. It should have been him. Jimmy was really the better. Jimmy is the better twin. God damn it! The only reason why Jimmy is where he's at right now. Listen, bro, look at the past stuff. All right, look back when they was doing the Uso Penitentiary. Who was on the mic talking?
It was
Big Jim. Big Jim. And you know what he did after he got done talking his stuff? He would pass it to his brother, and you know what his brother would say? And remember, it's not paranoia. When them hairs are staying on the back of your neck, it's the Usos. That's his line. If Big Jim is the road dog, Jay is Billy Gunn when he says, and if you're not down with that, we got 2 words for you. That's all. That is all Billy Gunn had to do. Big Jim is the ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages. He does all the hard stuff, and the other one says the catchphrase. That's how it's always been. And now that they're alone, Jimmy, Big J, I should say, Big J, he's suffering because, which is another thing to get into here. Big J is suffering because he's in his position where there's nothing for him to do.
Nope.
They said on commentary how he's like, he's like kind of squandering, trying to figure out his place and everything. And it's like, yes, he's squandering, trying to figure out his place and everything because there's no place for him. Like, which was another reason why the Money in the Bank was so predictable. We'll break it down here. We'll start with the guys since we're talking about the boys right now.
Yep.
You remember the lineup for the men's Money in the Bank?
Yes. You want me to say it?
No, you don't have to.
Okay.
But like Andrade.
Yep.
Hell no.
Absolutely not. Yeah. No, it's funny. Wrestle Talk even did that. They would talk about like every wrestler, like, okay, Penta, he's rising, and this and that, and then he was like, and then Andrade. No, in all seriousness, Andrade, you're a great wrestler, but like,
he's a great wrestler, but like when you look at the long term of everything, right? Especially with where I was looking at, because granted they can cash in on either brand, but when you look at who are the champions on SmackDown and Raw, and then you look at the people who are in the Money in the Bank. Andrade does not have enough star power to even breathe the same air that John Cena breathed. Okay.
God damn.
And for him to think about going for the world title, seeing him in the world title picture is completely unheard of. Because there is so much story and so much shenanigans going on in that world title picture. There's no way for him to crack into that. Penta, he's got too much El Grande Americano problems. And he has his own story that's going on. And he has not made the cross into main eventer just yet.
And that's the thing that's pissing me off too, because like a lot of Penta's career is when he's put in a match where a world title or something of that caliber is in it. The thing that wrestling bookers always try to put in perspective is when you put the belt on somebody, it's supposed to elevate them, or they elevate the belt in some way, shape, or form. Penta is over so much he doesn't need it. So they never justify putting a belt on him in any scenario because he doesn't need it.
But see, even then, right? So like, sure, you can say he's over in the fact that like he's so over that he does not need a belt. But then there's also because then that also would end up when he gets a belt, you almost get a slight situation of what we're having with Jay.
Oh no, I agree, but here's the thing: Penta has been world champion in multiple promotions. It's no biggie for him. My thing is more so anytime I see him in a match that involves a stipulation where he either wins the title or he gets the stipulation to win the title, they always put him in a position where, okay, no, actually it makes sense for this person to win. Like going into the match, the only person that could have won was Seth. It was literally the only person. LA Knight, as much as he has a hot buzz right now, they're not putting it on him because they've already done it and he didn't win the title. So it's like you've done it already one time.
He hasn't gotten the Money in the Bank.
I could have sworn he's gotten it before.
No,
no, he was no. He was in the other Money in the Bank. Excuse me. He was in like two of them.
This was his third one.
Yeah,
there was specifically a moment on SmackDown where he was talking about it and he heard someone in the crowd and he's like, "What was that you just said there? Third time's the charm?" And maybe third time is the charm. And I'm glad that you brought LA Knight up because the problem with the reason why this Money in the Bank to me was so predictable, especially for the guys, right, is because when you look at who is in the match and you think about where they are currently in terms of like their placement on the card, there was everybody were mid-carders, and Seth Rollins was the only main eventer in that match.
Yep.
The only main eventer.
Yep.
And he's also the only person in that match who actually has a story that's worth a damn to do anything with. LA Knight.
Also to add, he had his backup, even though what's his name had the bloodline, Solo had the bloodline. It only made sense with Seth, but continue.
Which I will say on SmackDown, I did like when they had the bloodline versus Seth Rollins' future. They had that little standoff, and they
have they named it the future? Did they name it the future?
No, that's just what I'm calling it right now. I was like,
the future actually, the future would kind of be kind of cold though.
Well, because he keeps talking about his future. That's why I've just called it Seth Rollins' future. And so,
so SR future. I'm just trying to think of it as a faction name. Like, I just think it should be, if it was just called the future, like that is the faction name. I think that would be kind of cool.
It would be, but like I said, the reason why I call it is because every time he comes out there, he keeps talking about my vision, my future for this industry is I am the future. So I'm like, all right, so I'm just going to call it Seth Rollins' future to make it easy, just to have him a name.
Sorry,
but like
it came to my head.
But it's like, but yeah, it's like Seth Rollins was the only one, and it's one of those things where it's like when you look at what the title like spots right now, which sucks, is the fact that like for people like LA Knight, he should have won the Money in the Bank a while ago. But
facts.
But the problem is that every time he should have been in a position where he would win the Money in the Bank, the upper card is so heavily stacked that he can't stick himself in there. When the first time that we saw he should win the Money in the Bank, who was he dealing with? Roman Reigns. There was no way they were going to let him beat Roman Reigns. And as we saw, they didn't let him beat Roman Reigns. He got bloodlined out, and we're like, no. There's no room for you up here in this upper in the upper card. Stay in mid card land. The second time around,
mid card land is crazy.
Cody Rhodes. Am I getting a phone call? I'll have to call him back. But it's like the second time, Cody Rhodes, right, was the champion. There's no room for LA Knight in last year while Cody Rhodes was champion to be in the main event. LA Knight has no room. And now this year, think about who the main event players are right now. Okay? We have Cody Rhodes, John Cena, Seth Rollins in the future, Randy Orton, Logan Paul.
I like how you're crediting Logan Paul as a good contender.
He's not a contender. He is a main eventer. He fills up main event spots. Mm-hmm. All right? Look at it. Like, they push him as a main eventer. He fights main event people in upper mid, I won't say upper mid cards. He fights main eventers in like, I don't know what the term. I guess I could say like upper mid card people.
Baby main eventers.
Maybe semi. I would say semi main eventers. All right, because unfortunately, AJ Styles is a semi main eventer right now.
He's on his last. He's like on his last run or some shit. Yeah.
Yeah, like Sami Zayn, he's a semi main eventer.
Yeah.
Goddamn.
He could put asses. He could put asses in seats. You know.
Oh, and the other person I almost forgot to mention, mostly just because he's not there, Roman Reigns.
Yeah.
So you see all those names I named out. Where When and where would LA Knight fit into this big six?
The big six is yeah, that is basically what it is. The
Notice
big
how I
six,
didn't say Jay
SmackDown
Uso.
six, SmackDown six. But no, you did
Damn,
not
funny
say Jay
enough, a
Uso.
lot of these guys are on SmackDown.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
the new
no,
SmackDown six.
kind of, sort of. But also, that's just because SmackDown is currently the A show. So, SmackDown is the Raw right now, technically. But,
Mm-hmm.
like, you look at all that, it's like, LA Knight, there's no room for him. And even if he got the money in the bank, like they're going to have him cash it on John Cena. LA Knight's chance to shine maybe able to happen maybe next year. Maybe. Because by that time, John Cena's out of the picture. Roman Reigns, I don't know, maybe he won't even be there anymore because they're trying to like shorten his contract and shit. And so, if you have not heard,
Oh no, I heard about that.
with all these pay cuts going. Now, of course, this is alleged. No, I don't think anyone has like specifically said, how people be saying, but can you imagine being Roman Reigns and they come up to you and be like, "Hey, so you know how we're paying you like all of that money? Um, we're gonna like not pay you all that money anymore, but like, and we also want you to actually do more after we not pay you all that money. Is that cool?" And it's
Basically,
like
pay you for your time, pretty much, but not really.
that's not good. If that is true, it's not going to end well. And we
Well, it's
might see
not.
Lee Aki. Listen, I was like, because I've been saying in the group chat, like, if that happens, not only is it not going to end well, but we might be seeing Lee Aki being all elite.
I be damn. That motherfucker. No, no.
Listen, bro, we are in an interesting time where history is repeating itself to a certain degree. W. let me try it again. TKO
Nah.
is is looking a lot like WCW back in its heyday. All right. While AEW is looking like WWF trying to get their fucking shit straight. Because notice how TKO keeps buying their wrestlers. Mariah,
Mariah
glamorous
May,
Mariah
but she
May,
always wanted to go to WWE though.
which is true. But like but it's like one of those things where it's like, damn, y'all, because notice how they squandered the hell out of that. Like to think that Mariah May was the women's champion this year,
Mm-hmm.
and now she literally had her women's title match. She dropped the belt, and the next time you see her after she drops the belt is in NXT. Wild, crazy work.
It is definitely crazy work. I ain't gonna lie.
TKO is over here freaking looking at AEW like how WCW was looking at WWE and was like, "Hey, I'm gonna take your Hulk Hogan. I'm gonna take your Razor Ramon. I'm gonna take your Kevin Nash as well. I'm gonna take your Rick Rude as well." Like they're just like plucking these big names out of AEW and adding them to their roster and then making them look amazing. And AEW is blowing their load on fucking boring ass 4 hours of TV time. And so it's crazy.
They want to
But
seem like a
then
competitor, but they're not really actually being a competitor.
no, no, they're not. And the problem is they should start acting like they are. So AEW and WWE constantly say the fact that we're not fighting each other. However, you look at this groundwork and AEW's pay-per-view weekend is about to be stomped out by Great American Bash and Saturday Night Main Event and all this other stuff. And it's like it's crazy. However, there's a part of me that feels just like what happened with WCW. They're about the TKO is over here getting way too big for their britches, and they're about to start making some terrible and ugly and stupid mistakes. Like,
Oh, you mean they haven't already?
you're right. You're right. Because going back into this very predictable pay-per-view, when it came to the women's match, it's like, and I'll go ahead and I'll lay down this groundwork because
I will say now. Hold on. It was an NXT and Raw Money in the Bank, because you noticed 3 of them were former NXT ladies. But even with that, the thing that's really interesting about that match is you kind of did go into it thinking that probably Stephanie would win, or maybe Roxanne. I really kind of feel like Roxanne should have won that. Maybe like Roxanne holding that would have been pretty tight.
I
feel
think
like.
Roxanne. I wanted Stephanie Valkyrie to win. I felt like that would have been better. However, Roxanne for a long run would have been great.
Yeah, I feel like.
But
Go ahead.
oh no, I was about to say, going into the conversation that I had with Ray Zion.
Mm-hmm.
This is what we've predicted for the next 3 months
Mm-hmm.
when it comes to the women's title and wrestling and all this other stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to see how close this is going to happen. So, what started all of this is the fact that the Queen of the Ring is happening, right?
Mm-hmm.
We already know Queen of the Ring is going to come down to Jade Cargill and Charlotte Flair.
Mm-hmm.
Now, because of the fact we knew that Queen of the Ring was going to come down to Jade Cargill and Charlotte Flair, it only made sense that Naomi was going to win the Money in the Bank. Because now that puts Naomi directly in the crosshairs of Jade Cargill. Now that this has already happened, because we said this before we saw Money in the Bank. We had this conversation. And so it's like, that has happened. What has now really solidified the fact that I think this is exactly what's going to happen is because in the pre-show, they asked her, it's like, hey, so like, are you done with Jade? And she's like, nah, once you start something with me, that shit goes on forever. And it's like, okay. So that confirms the fact that she's going to be trying to screw over Jade Cargill somewhere down in the long run. And so now there's 3 avenues we can go with here.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was 3. First avenue, which sounds like probably the main one, is the fact that Jade is going to go on and they're going to let her beat Charlotte. Jade is then going to go on to fight the women's champion.
And Jade's going to win.
And Jade's going to win, and she's going to get cashed in on.
Yep. That's actually is funny thing. I saw a YouTube video where somebody brought that up. That is the game plan. The game plan is to make her win the tournament to then fight. They say that she's gonna go against Tiffany. Say she's gonna go against Tiffany, and she's gonna win. And then as that happens, cash-in happens.
Cash-in's gonna happen. Now, that's the most probable. Now, the second option would be the fact where in that match, Jade versus Charlotte wins because Naomi screws over Jade, which will reignite and make those two fight each other. While on the back end of that happening, Bianca comes back and fights Tiffany for the title. And then Bianca beats Tiffany. And then Naomi cash-ins there. Which would then kind of sort of give more of the backlash of what just recently happened on SmackDown, where Bianca was out there and we find out the fact that, oh yeah, proceed with caution. She be out here just doing home invasions.
And it's completely okay. We're going to act like it's just part of the storyline.
we're just gonna like breeze past the fact, like, that's a felony. But hey, listen, Randy Orton hasn't been tried for arson yet, so
I mean, and also Hunter in home invasion too. So,
but at least he got arrested for that.
you know what? He did. He did. Austin? Did
Randy,
Austin get arrested?
I don't know, because I mean,
I figured it was like, yo, you had a gun pulled on you.
I don't think he did, but Brian Pillman did pull the blicky out on Austin. So
that's what I'm saying. I don't know. I think the cops would have been like, look, he upped it on you, and that should have scared you enough. So we're gonna let you off with a foul. Like, you could have died tonight. You could have died tonight.
Let that have been like Mark Henry or D'Lo Brown who did that. Oh, they putting that nigga under the jail. But
I'm so dead. I'm so dead.
They let the white man walk. No, I'm kidding.
I can't even, broski.
But so like that third option is where like Jade still wins and beats Charlotte, but then Bianca gets the belt, and now there's the Jade versus Bianca situation, and that's when Naomi comes in and fucks everything up. So those are the three avenues I'm looking at. However, that first one I think is the most probable. And at first I was all like, nah, but like as Razion was telling me, I'm like, and then we started like kind of like connecting the dots that are already being set up with the whole Ric Flair and not Ric Flair, Charlotte and Jade, and then
Jay having them bump into each other and stuff like that. Yeah,
I'm like, oh,
I see what you're doing.
I don't gotta watch wrestling for like the next 3 months.
I'm dead.
I already booked it. It's already been booked. I already know what's gonna happen.
Nah, it's already been booked.
Listen, that's where I'm at right now. But at the end of the day, Money in the Bank was mid as fuck. Money in the Bank,
lying.
and I haven't even watched it, but just from the stuff that has happened and the fact that I was able to predict it so heavily, barely made it. Like, actually, no, I'm not gonna give it. I'm not gonna give it an E, but it gets a D in my book because like there was.
And notice you didn't even talk about the Dom match. That like you did, but you didn't.
Because that match didn't matter. It didn't matter. It didn't.
Oh, man, it's just funny.
You know how much it mattered? It was thrown on there at the absolute last minute.
Facts.
The absolute last. Just to make it so that people who paid for this pay-per-view aren't paying for 4 fucking matches.
I mean, Peacock is $10, but yeah.
Listen, there are people who don't want, for whatever reason, just won't get Peacock, and somebody out there spent $60 to watch Money in the Bank for 5 matches.
Hey man, look, if they don't value their wallet, I guess so.
What if I told you WWE don't either?
I know, because apparently they're going back to Las Vegas again.
As a matter of fact, yes, they did actually bring up I don't remember it being official, but Triple H said, "Yeah, we're going back to Las Vegas because of da da da." I'm like, "Oh, so we really is going back."
Oh, and they did the cut. They promoted it or whatever. Excuse me. They did the ad showcasing it. Yo, well, sometimes you do something once, sometimes you got to do it twice. We're going back to Vegas, and
so there was a promo for it.
Oh yeah. They openly showed the new logo is WrestleMania. And it looks like a carnival over or some shit like that, and yeah, it's going to Vegas. So 42 is in Vegas.
Yeah, and it's oh boy. But to give some props to TNA real quick.
Here we go. Your promotion. I love how your promotion's still living and mine is no longer breathing. Both of my promotions.
What?
ECW and Lucha Underground. Those were my promotions that I live and breathe them shits.
That's wild, because that means you got nothing to look forward to, because
Nope.
both of those have been dead for a very long time now.
Very, very long time.
Like, bro, like, try and watch. I'm kidding. Don't. Oh,
It was at one
because
point New Japan too. Then it became New Japan, and then now New Japan is a shell of what it used to be. I remember I
bro,
used to
try
start.
at least maybe give New Japan like another try, because like
Nah.
today this week, because of the fact that AEW was so trash, I was all like, well, let me see what Ring of Honor's doing. Ring of Honor is just Sunday Night Heat, but under the AEW brand, bro. Like,
I
the
mean,
only
literally.
cool thing, the only cool thing that happened on Ring of Honor this past week was that Persephone and Thunder Rosa went up
Mhm.
against Layla Gray and Dulce Tormenta. Okay, and
You do
because
like
I
that
am a
Spanish woman.
fan, I do. And because I do, I enjoyed that match. It was also a good match. Don't get me wrong. All of the matches on Ring of Honor were good matches. But like, Ring of Honor is just Sunday Night Heat behind a paywall. All right. Like,
The fact that you got to pay for it is crazy.
crazy. Absolutely crazy.
GCW,
And
you know what? I do take it back. GCW does give me a fix. I do love deathmatch wrestling. I love deathmatch wrestling, and you know it's funny. Speaking of deathmatch wrestling, it's such an art form that I enjoy. That maybe one of the wrestlers who enjoys that art form so much doesn't know how to sell to you, and that's John Moxley. Great
listen,
segue.
I mean, yeah. Oh, but before I segue, because I did want to at least get my little
Okay.
bit in about TNA real fast,
Oh yeah, yeah,
because
you're
it
right.
was
You're right. Right.
wasn't too much. But number one, Santino Marella. Because once again, I gotta watch the pay per view. Santino Marella has a match on the pay per view. Fam, Santino promoted his ass off that night, talking about how much he cares about TNA and how he's like, yes, because he's technically stepping down from his position to have this match and all this other. Like, I mean, listen, I felt what Santino was talking about. I'm like, all right, Santino, get you out here, like, because you never hear Santino talk like with such bravado and like freaking passion and be
Mm-hmm.
so serious. Like,
Mm-hmm.
serious Santino was a nice breath of fresh air. Also, which is crazy to think about, especially with how long TNA's been around. That night on TNA, they had their 60th Monsters Ball match.
60?
60th. Crazy, right?
What?
60th Monsters Ball.
That don't make sense. I don't even remember that many monsters balls going down.
That I also was like, wait, really? That's number one, that's a lot.
That is
A
absolutely
lot.
a lot, and I did not know that was the case. So you saying that is very interesting. As in a
Yes. In the
a promotion to keep doing that. Sorry, go ahead.
the 60th Monsters Ball match was had by females. Zaya Brookside versus Rosemary, which I was like,
Oh,
okay,
yep. I know Rosemary's in that
okay.
bitch. Yep.
But I was like, for them to have had 60 Monsters Balls, I'm like, number one, and I actually, because I'd never looked it up, but it's like, I pulled it up on like the Wikipedia here, and fam, I'm like, damn, Abyss.
Oh, it was literally his match. So like, yeah.
Yeah, so just to do a quick go on it real quick, talking about it. Well, let's see. There was it was Monty Brown. There was the first one was Monty Brown, Raven and Abyss. Second one was Rhino, Abyss, Sabu and Jeff Hardy. The third one, Samoa Joe, Abyss and Rhino. Like, hold on, now I'm checking here. It looks like the first 7 had Abyss in them.
Mm-hmm.
And then after the first 7, the 8th one, I lied. Abyss was in that too. So let me keep counting. Because it was like females, Taylor Wilde versus Daphne, but Daphne was with Abyss.
Speaking of which, saw Taylor Wilde on Dark Side of the Ring. She's doing good, man. She was doing good.
That's good. I need to catch up on Dark Side of the Ring.
They went over Daphne and Muhammad Hassan.
Interesting. I didn't know that was a thing.
Season finale was Muhammad Hassan.
Okay. Fam, Abyss has been I want to say like the first 52. I think like the first 52. No. There's actually one here. Number 47 had Rosemary going up against Jade. And so, but like, so I think the first 46 of them. Let me double check here. All right, no. I'll go up 145. So I think the first 44 Monsters Balls match had the first 44 had Abyss in it. And I think the person who has been them the second most is Jeff Hardy.
Yes.
Which I did not realize Jeff Hardy was in so many of them. But yeah, literally the first 44 of these were with Abyss. And most of them, Abyss lost. But yeah, 60 Monsters Ball matches. And it's funny because I'm looking, it's like you can see, like, and because they've had them, they would have several of them a year. Like, that's crazy. But yeah, so that Monsters Ball thing, and also, you know how we was talking about how I guess it was mostly me talking about how I didn't think Trick was really into his character kind of thing. Like he's just kind of sort of like, let me tell you how like Elijah, aka Elias, literally in his promo said those exact words that I said.
Wait, what do you mean?
So Elias is fighting him for the title, right?
Yeah.
Is supposed to fight him at their pay-per-view. And he was cutting his promo talking about how, like, you know, pretty much he was saying the fact that Trick, you're fake. In layman's terms, he pretty much like, Trick, you're fake. You're just trying to put up this front because you're desperate for the attention and all this other stuff. But it's like the things that he said, I literally said at the last one, like, damn, I feel so validated.
You was like, hold on. Elijah was listening to you, bro. He was walking with you.
Listen, I mean, there's no secret. I've always walked with Elias or Elijah. Either way.
How about his brother? Were you cool with his brother?
I mean, he was alright.
Oh, okay. That's cool.
However, I do like in that promo, he actually he brought up all of that. Like he mentioned it. So he was like, whether if you know me as Elijah, Elias, or I forget what or like Ezekiel.
Samson? There you go, Ezekiel, yeah.
Yeah. Which as I'm saying this out loud, I'm like, you know what? No wonder. Because, like, all those are very biblical names. And I've come to find out that he is a God-fearing man.
Oh, sometimes, he's a big man of faith, okay.
Oh, yeah, like, I'm talking, like, he literally, even now, sometimes if you find his TikTok, he'll be live with a Bible in his hand, talking to everybody and giving the word and all this other stuff. And it's funny. I actually had a chance to ask him on one of his lives, and he acknowledged me because I asked. I was like, "How long have you been?" Because I didn't know he was super religious like that.
Yeah.
And he told me the fact at this point, this would have been 2023, I think it was. Yeah, this would have been 2023 because I was still in Tampa. And it's like I asked him, and he said at that time he was like 5 years ago, somebody showed me something, and pretty much they preached the word to me, and I was like, and it made me curious, and so I bought a Bible, and I looked into it, and I never looked back, and I was like, okay, all right,
It's real. It's real. It's real.
genuine, and like so I'm just like, that's okay, all right, I see it now. But
At one point, I wasn't too sure if when you say that some people get really involved with their characters, and I'm not saying anything against his faith or something like that, but there have been a lot of people who are method actors who really get involved into their character, and maybe a part of that was getting involved with Walking with Elias, what that means to him and everything. So maybe he kind of picked it up, you know what I'm saying? So a part of me was like, yeah, like a part of me was like, what if that was a thing, you know?
And so because of that, like when I look back on some of his stuff when he was in WWE, I like you can kind of see it with the way that he would carry himself, especially like when he was like a baby face. Like you could see it some. But now that I got my piece in about TNA because they deserve to be talked about this week, unlike AEW.
Here we go.
But we about to start talking about them. The integrity of finishing moves, fam. It's bad right now. It's really bad.
Talk about
as you actually, yes. Because also, not just the integrity of finishing moves, but then like what is being a finishing move, fam. We see what Trick William looks like. Why ain't he dropping stuff? Why ain't he?
Why is he? Why? Also, not even that. Like the trick shot to me, it don't feel like it should be his move.
It's no. To me, the trick shot to me is like I couldn't think of anything else to do, so I'm gonna just do like this running knee
move.
and,
yeah,
and it's like very rarely does anyone sell it where it looks great.
Yeah,
It just always looks sloppy.
Whenever he did it in the last match, he like tried like the dude. I guess I can't remember who it was who was in a match against. Who was I think it was I want to say was it Joe Hendry maybe, but like he didn't realize hey the finish is happening, so his back is turned. He's like wobbly, and so Trick was like, "Fuck it, I'm just gonna hit it," and he hits in the back of his head. Then it's like he says, "Yo, I'm doing the finish." Comes back and then does the trick shot again, hitting him in the face and finishing. And it was like,
and it still looked like
it looks like ass every time.
But then, and it's like we have someone as big as Trick Williams, but Joe Henry's the one that does the big pick him up and drop him down to the ground move, and it's all like, what that look like? What does that look like? And unfortunately, AEW is the biggest offender of it, about the no selling and just making finishing moves ass. But like what you was talking about with the pay-per-view, how many AAs happened in that match?
Like 5. I think. I know it was like at one point he AA'd Cody, got a pin, got out of it. No, that's like a perfect example. Not even just the AAs. The fact that the man slam happened off the second rope. That should have been one and done. Like if you're doing your finisher in an elevated state, it should be donezo. Because that's like doing your move times 2.
Yes. Always has been that way.
Yeah.
No one gets back up after a choke slam off the top rope.
No.
Or at least you shouldn't.
Yep.
Now, there are certain benefits of the doubt that I can get and kind of understand. Like as it used to be called, the champion's resiliency,
Yeah.
that gets applied to a match when you're the champion and you have a title. So
Mm-hmm.
you should be able to take at least one of someone's finisher.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It's understandable. We get that bit. And maybe you get two. But then that's when the selling comes into play, which, as much as Ricochet and Dolph Ziggler, aka Nick Nemeth, used to promote it, it's become a weirdly lost art. Because back in the day, if I hit you with my finish and you kicked out, right? Match goes on. I hit you with my finish again, and you somehow kicked out. You kicked out because of sure will, but you're not awake yet. You're still laid out. You're still dazed. Like you're trying to figure out what's going on. When people used to kick out and they just be laid out on the ground
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
type thing, and like the crowd's going crazy, and they're just all like, the person who just got the finish, they're not even moving yet. Like they're still donezo. Like, and JR's going crazy, like, I can't believe the intestinal fortitude. He's getting beat out like a government mule, but he's still going. He's still kicked out. I can't believe it. Like, just they don't do that shit no more.
Nope.
They'll kick out. That and AEW is real good for this one. They'll kick out after doing that big finish, right? And then the person who put the finish on it, like, nah, they got that. Now they're picking you up, and they're trying to, like, they want to go and do their finish again. And all of a sudden, I'm okay again. And then you pick them up and do a didgeridoo in the fucking air and drop the guy, and it's all like,
Didgeridoo.
whoa!
What the what? A what? What
I,
was that?
listen, a didgeridoo is. Remember when we used to play when you play Crash Bandicoot and you get blown up by the nitro?
Yeah.
And he's flying up with the angel wings and he's like blowing that long big ass pipe. Pause.
Yeah.
That's the didgeridoo.
Okay.
But
That's hilarious.
but it's like, they'll John Moxley and just snap out of it like you didn't just hit them with like your biggest finish of all time. And then Paradigm Shift pin you and that's it. And then he's just like this. Like nothing happened. Like he's not stumbling because he just got hit with your biggest finish of all time. He's standing tall, straight, chest out. Usually a bloody mess, which also doesn't make sense because you're not selling the blood on your face or anything. It's like, oh, it's just red sweat to you, kind of thing. And so it's like no integrity to the finish anymore. And fuck selling.
He feels very primal in the nature of like the blood. You know how those people that say the crimson mask makes you it enhances you, it makes you, kind of more gutsy or whatever. It's like in those situations, and I'm not trying to defend it, but it's like as if it's a second win, but the second win is like he was red and now he's green in his body, like his like his body was red and now it's green type shit. Like
I want you to remember when JBL fought Eddie Guerrero, and Eddie Guerrero was bleeding
profusely
like crazy. Okay. Do you remember how Eddie Guerrero was selling that shit?
Oh yeah, but I mean, he was kind of fucked up though at the same time.
But still,
Yeah.
if that's the case, remember when I think it was Bret Hart and Stone Cold faced each other, and Stone Cold got busted open and shit? You remember how he sold that?
Oh, he sold the fuck out of it.
Yeah. When was the last time you saw someone sell being busted open like those two?
I haven't.
Oh.
I haven't.
You have not.
Have not.
Have not.
Have not.
Selling is a dying art. And I think the main problem about it is the fact of this whole aspect of I need to get my shit in culture that's kind of going around, which once again AEW promotes it a lot. AEW promotes it a lot, and you see it a lot with them, mostly just because of the added fact that they still bleed like crazy over there. But it's like when you bleed like crazy over there, it doesn't matter. It doesn't mean anything. It doesn't do anything.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and I mean, sure, death matches are cool. You know what I'm saying? But like, I also feel, especially with the way that death matches are used in AEW kind of thing, versus how hardcore matches used to be kind of done and used in WWE. I honestly think that death matches are kind of ruining the art of selling to a certain degree. Because it's like, in my brain, okay, if I can sit here and watch you get staples put on your tongue and in your head and on your eyeballs and through your fingers and on your dick, like, if I can watch you get you saw it, you know what I'm talking about. Don't act stupid. Don't give me that look. But if I can watch
you cook, man, you cook.
But it's like, if I can watch you get all those things done to you, freaking be bashed in the head with whatever, legitimately get hung by a rope, freaking getting put through center blocks, it's like, what more can you do after that? If you go through all of that and then you still have enough in you to just stand up and act like nothing freaking happened, it's like, bro, what? At that point, it's all like, a regular wrestling match doesn't mean anything.
I mean, you're
And
not
then,
lying.
and then on
But
top of that,
Here's the thing. I don't feel like deathmatch wrestling is doing that. I feel like Jon Moxley as a character is doing that, because deathmatch wrestling is just it's just a thing that AEW does, because again, we got to remember Tony is a fan. He is a fan. He wants to see, certain things constantly happening in every promotion. He wants to make AEW New Japan. He literally wants that. And New Japan is very big on strong style, making their characters stronger than life. They should be coming back from the craziest situations constantly, right? But Jon Moxley is also a character where, yes, he's came up from deathmatch wrestling, but he's supposed to be this complete badass. And that's just what he's supposed to be. That's why I say, to me, it's not deathmatch wrestling. It is literally Moxley. It's Moxley that's causing that issue.
which, I mean, I wholeheartedly agree. But it's like, and when it comes to that death match, because with the little bit of like outside of AEW deathmatch wrestling that I see and stuff like that, like, even they sell things. You know
Yeah,
what I mean?
deathmatch sells shit. That's what I'm
Like,
saying. It's not deathmatch.
but it's like AEW does not. It's like AEW does not know how to properly deathmatch. You know what I'm saying? Because
That.
when you think of like a person, like when it comes to people who, Mick Foley, all right, Mick Foley in his matches. When you see Mick Foley get beat the dog piss out of with weapons and this stuff, like, the way he sells it, the way he reacts to it after it's happened, and the way he continues to. And I think that's the piece that's really missing when it comes to people selling stuff. And what is also diminishing the value of the finishing move. People get hit with these moves and they forget it happened. Jon Moxley got stabbed in the back with a 2x4 filled with nails. Dude, and it got jabbed so deep into his back that they had to legitimately pry it out of his human skin. And he proceeded through the rest of the match like that never happened. Therefore, making it mean absolutely nothing. However, paradigm shift on Edge and it's over.
Yeah.
But once again, I say all this shit. WWE, they're in hot water for it too. 5 AAs. Remember back in the day?
With
you
Super
hit
Cena,
one, that's it?
With Super Cena, yes. Super Cena himself was the big reason why it was that freaking normal. It was normalized.
Remember when they used to protect the AA? Remember when they used to
protect the RK? Yep. Jinx, you owe me a fucking soda, bitch. Like that. We said the same shit.
The most dangerous letters in sports entertainment, the RKO. And John Cena took like goddamn 10 of them on a pay-per-view. And still, not only still got up, but John Cena delivered 4, 5, 6 of them to Randy Orton. Randy Orton kicked out of every single one of them. At least we protect the title belt to the head. I think that
that once you get hit in the head with it, it's supposed to be done.
The title belt to the skull is probably the last protected move, the last protected weapon in sports entertainment that throughout the years leading up until now, when you get hit with the title belt, you do not get back up. Unless you're Super Cena, then yes.
Or unless you get R-Truth to come in and smack you with the belt, which led you to lose as well, which technically still protects it because he was hit with the belt. Yep, still protected.
It is the most protected weapon, and it is the most protected maneuver. Title belt to the face. But then you look at the fact, like, because I know we talked about it a little bit before, Tony Storm's running hip attack puts bitches out for the 1, 2, 3. But Storm Zero motherfuckers kick out of? I don't understand. I don't get it.
I mean, that ass. That ass.
Stone Cold Steve Austin's career was almost ended from a Storm Zero, brother.
Yes. Basically, yes.
But ass to the face will put you down for the 1, 2, 3.
That's just this culture nowadays, bro. Like, ass is everything.
The Tombstone put people down for, 20, 30 years. But now, a spiked Tombstone niggas is kicking out of. Make it make sense.
Hey, listen here, brother. I'm not disagreeing with you. I'm not disagreeing with you in the slightest.
Like, with the way things are going, I feel Baron Corbin, he got out of the game just in time. Because at this point, his finishing move,
End of days,
I do believe only one person has ever kicked out of End of Days.
Wasn't it Neville?
I'm not mistaken. I don't remember. No, it wasn't Neville. I don't remember who. I actually, let me double check. There's a part of me that wants to say it was John Cena though, for some reason. Hold on.
No, it wasn't. It was somebody that was like really close to him. It was definitely somebody who was kind of close to him.
Let me just double check. Apparently it was Drew McIntyre.
There we go. Somebody that he was like super cool with.
He said Drew McIntyre is the only one to have kicked out of Baron Corbin's End of Days finishing move, which is apparently a significant event in WWE history, according to Chris Van Vliet. But it's like that used to be the thing that gets people over. Like, granted, Baron Corbin's gone now, but and stuff like that. But it's like
he's currently, isn't he booked with like MLW and shit like that?
I don't know. I haven't followed him really since he's left.
Was he one of your guys?
Not necessarily. Like, he was okay. Like, he was cool, but he was cool. But at the same time, like, after a while, I was one of those people who was at NXT that was like, "Hey, Baron, you're a bum. Baron Corbin's a bum." Yeah, I was that guy. I did that shit.
Where's Austin Theory and fucking and Wilder at, bro? Like he's on that caliber because he's on that caliber of them. Like a talent who you could put him in any situation, like Baron Corbin,
well,
and he just
Theory, those two, they just got done getting beat up by Sheamus. Like, they just didn't show up. They just didn't show up on anything this week.
Well, the reason why I was originally thinking about him is like, I was like, why doesn't WWE keep him? He's that kind of wrestler where it's like The Miz, where you put him in any situation. Yeah. You put him in any situation and he could put somebody over. He doesn't have to get over himself. He could be completely fine with being the fall guy, but you're going to hate him every time. He's going to have heat. He'll heat every time.
Well, so that's like, the thing. Baron Corbin was actually getting over as a babyface before he left.
Really?
And he was like randomly teaming up with Apollo Crews. And like I wasn't sure where they was going with it, but like they would have like right before he left, I remember they had like these segments where it was like him and Apollo Crews were like at like a barber shop, like talking or something.
Like he's trying to be cool with the homie.
That's what it seemed like. But then, like, I think Apollo Crews got hurt, which is why we haven't heard from him since. And they let Baron Corbin go. And this is after he had that fantastic run in NXT with Bronathan. And so, but like, I really wish, and it's unfortunate, the fact that these good finishing moves, like they're being whitewashed. They're no longer finishers anymore. Their finishing moves are just becoming signature moves. There's no such thing as a finishing move anymore, because finishing moves aren't finishing.
That's what they call signatures. That's what I normally call signatures.
Well, but that's the thing. You've played the wrestling game. Yeah. There are signature moves, and then you have your finishers.
I know, but in
my
most of the
signature move is in the wrestling game. My signature move is usually the shooting star press and the sharpshooter. Mm-hmm. My finish is the swag switcher, which is the people's elbow. And then and the wild style, which is the rock bottom.
Mm-hmm. I'm not disagreeing with you. What I'm saying is that to them is the ideal of what the finishers are for them right now currently.
Oh no, that's what they've been demoted to.
Yes.
But that's not what it was.
No, never that.
And it's like, WWE has a really bad habit right now of taking AEW's really bad habits and just using them because they work. And that's why you get Drew McIntyre versus CM Punk. No, it was Drew McIntyre versus no, it was CM Punk versus Seth Rollins, and 1,000 GTSs, 1,000 curve stomps, a GTS followed up with a curve stomp followed up with a GTS, and everyone is still kicking out. We do a super curve stomp, a super GTS, they're
trying to get crowd pops when they don't really need to. because also the audience is the kind of people nowadays where, well, you got to top that.
And that's
How,
the
how are you going
problem.
to top the next situation?
That's the problem. You don't. But for some reason, they have brainwashed and toxified their minds to think that. Like, and it's one of those things where, as someone who has been trained as a wrestler,
Mm-hmm.
the one thing that your wrestling trainers always would teach is that less is more. They always say, if you slow down and if you think you're going slow, go slower. All
The
right.
funny thing you say that is because a lot of people are feeling that way when it comes to Van Kingo. I think I pronounced it wrong. I feel like I butchered it, but the guy from AAA who has the Mega Champion right now, they're
Mm-hmm.
saying his bump card, which if obviously you have training, so you understand what the bump card is. His bump card is going to get shorter and shorter every year because of some of the things he was doing before he made it to WWE. He would do pay-per-view spots every night. And they're just like, yo, like Luchas was like, yo, you might want to chill the fuck out because like you're doing too much. And your bump card is going to get shorter and shorter every time.
I've been going to a lot of indie promotions recently, watching these matches and stuff like that. And, Ray Zion been doing stuff with him at the promotions. And I see these matches and I watch his match. He had a match, it was a main event match, right? And it was a triple threat. They had the crowd in the palm of their hands, just eating off of everything that they was doing. Ray Zion did not. Ray Zion took one bump the whole match. He took one bump. One. And that was and that was the finish of the match.
Mm-hmm.
And the crowd loved it. There wasn't a whole lot of flippy shit. It was a good straight match. But the problem that people are doing nowadays, it's like the flippy shit is nice, but as you constantly hear, you can only be so flippy.
Mm-hmm.
You can only flippy so much, and you can only flippy for so long. People are so busy doing these spots where there's crowd work. You could I have seen, because these matches still happen in the indie scene, where a match would start, they'll lock up, they'll break the lockup, and then the heel will leave the ring. He'll walk around the ring 3 times, cussing at the people around the ring side, doing all of this while the babyface is like waiting for him to come in. Kind of like what, I don't know if you saw SmackDown, because I feel Mateo fills this spot very well with as far as like how wrestling could be, and if you
Mm-hmm.
know how to work it, you don't have to work so goddamn hard.
Mm-hmm.
Like the match started with Mateo, he rolled out the ring, talking shit to the people, talking shit to the guy in the ring. He acts like he's going to get in the ring, rolls back out the ring, goes and talks to Solo and this, that, and the other. And then, like, when he's fighting in the ring, he's slow and methodical, but he makes every movement and hit matter count, as opposed to doing 1,000 throwaway spots and 200 false finishes.
Well, I feel like I know we could talk about this kind of a lot in depth and how selling is such an important craft when it comes to wrestling. But I think it kind of boils down to is what do you feel like could be the solution for what people are doing? Because obviously this is a ongoing thing. It's not going to stop. So what would you feel like is the solution that people could do, wrestlers could potentially do to make selling important again?
I feel the thing that would need to happen is the thing that no one is going to do. And WWE tries to, But then when they try to do it, people like Ricochet get mad and they leave so that they can do it somewhere else. And it's the fact that you have to tone those things down, and they have to do it where it counts, where it makes sense. You have to stop doing the flippy for a little bit, so that when you do the flippy, it gets a big pop. But when you have people like, and we love them to death, but our resident Billy Goat and like AR Fox, where they'll go in there and they're just boing, 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 boing. Like when they're doing all of that in a match, nonstop, it's like, all right, well, I guess this is all right. Cool, whatever.
The sad part about it is for someone like Ricochet, that's his whole thing. And that's the issue. Yeah, and that's his whole thing, because he only started being able to cut promos recently.
When you have people like Ricochet, now granted, Will Ospreay gets let off the hook because after seeing his match with Hangman, I know he also knows how to wrestle. Because let it be known, for those who are just watching and did not know, my introduction to Will Ospreay is AEW. I'd never followed him prior. And so I have not. I've been like, I love him, and I've been like, let me just keep watching. Let me make sure I'm not looking like a bandwagon guy and whatnot. But it's like he proved himself to me with that match with Will Ospreay. And I'm like, oh, he is more than just flippy shit. But that's his strong suit. And it's like, unfortunately, when you just have so much flippy shit people, and it's like with this new generation of, as I think Undertaker would say, these video game wrestlers, who just do flippy shit nonstop. It's one of those things. It's like, because there's so much of it, niggas like Gunther get pushed to the wayside because no one's doing that old school stuff anymore.
I feel like because of who Gunther is, a lot of people also really appreciate him a lot more.
Correct. And they do. But there's not enough of him. And then on top of that, I feel there's been, remember back in the day, they called it the land of the giants.
Yes.
We don't got big dudes like that anymore.
I think that's because they're kind of wanting to get out of that mindset of the land of the giants.
But when you do that it's like killing off giants to a certain degree is why we're at right now. Because because there's no giants anymore to just pick people up and throw them down to the ground, which used to be what wrestling was. Choke slams, power bombs, power slams, sidewalk slams, black hole slams, tiger bombs, suplexes. Those are being replaced with chops, mollywops, hidden blades.
Hey man, look, the hidden blade is fire though.
Knees, like those big man moves are no longer happening, and all we're getting is flippy shit. And it's one of those things where maybe, because since we know when it comes to wrestling, history repeats itself, maybe next generation will bring back the giants and make giants great again, and start power bombing and tossing people and body slamming and doing those things again, because it's like the people who look like they should be doing that are just kicking and punching and kicking out from tombstones.
You know, and again, kind of going back into what you're saying is a lot of those flippy shits, a lot of those moments kind of go into stipulations, storyline moments that make it prominent to why they're doing that. And I feel like that could be another thing we can talk about next week is what are our favorite match stipulations? What are our favorite moments that kind of create the atmosphere of why those flippy shit moments are important, why those things are, because like you said before, it's fitting where it's needed. And we all got our matches. We just talked about Monsters Ball not too long ago, right? My favorite match of it's always been either the buried alive or the casket match. But like I feel like us going into detail, like some of those matches where moments like that are important, that's a great segue for next week. And I wanted to make sure before we kind of end off the episode, do you have any final touches, final moments, or things of that nature before we kind of wrap things up?
No, I think I've did my old man rant for the day. out here sound like these old cats where it's like back in my day
where wrestling was this.
When wrestling was real, and it wasn't all a work, you hit me, you think you're gonna get a pin off of me from just doing a quick chop against my chest? Nah, fam. You're gonna work yourself into a shoot with that.
It's not gonna work for me, brother. And with that,
I'll be damned if you bounce off of the rope and just do a running chop to my chest. I'm gonna lay down for a 3 count. Well, you better pick me up and slam me down, like.
And with that, guys, I want to thank you so much for watching. If you haven't yet, please follow us on all social media and platforms. Again, with the YouTube, definitely subscribe and like the channel. We'll be coming up with new episodes and content shortly. But it's the Masaku.
And it's your boy, Swag Switcher in the building.
And that is going to be another episode of the Big Brothers of the Destruction podcast, guys. So till next time, we'll see you around.